Good afternoon, everyone. I know that you're all hungry, but please bear with us, and you'll get your food once we're done. So Abdallah, CEO of Zoomaal, founder of eClub, Munir, CEO of AltCity, as you're introduced. Let's start real quick by an introduction from you. How would you like to define yourself in a minute or so? Abdallah.
So I've started 4 years ago in the startup world.
فينا نعلي صوت الميكروفونز بس مش كلهم.
Yeah. So I started 4 years ago in the startup world. I founded several startups. Most of them have failed. Recently, I started Zoomaal a year and a half ago. I got some institutional investors on board, 4 of them. And we launched 4 months ago. We've got amazing traction. Basically, Zoomaal is about supporting small creative projects. So anyone who has a product idea or a film documentary they want to fund, they can just go online on Zoomaal and start funding themselves from the crowd. So anyone who likes your idea can go online and support it through credit card. Thanks.
Thank you, Abdallah. Munir?
How to define myself?
How do you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Munir Nabti, and I work with AltCity. We work to support startups, and we have a big interest on social impact startups here in Lebanon, and that can grow and scale to compete regionally or globally. Our emphasis is around digital or digitally enabled startups, so they don't have to be pure tech. Gaming and mobile app development, etc., are key things that we've been working on. I grew up in California. I've been back here for 9 years, working between Lebanon and Syria, and I'm happy to be here today with all of you.
Thank you, Munir. So guys, who here have heard of Zoomaal? Raise of hands. Great, so I think it's a good ratio. Hopefully more people will know about it. How about AltCity? Who here have heard of AltCity? Sort of the same ratio.
All of you get a discount.
It's great. We're getting you a lot of new clients and marketing buzz over here. So Abdallah, you mentioned failures, and you're pretty young to have a history of failures. And as entrepreneurs, we always have this dream of building something and getting it really big. We never think of it failing. We only think of it succeeding. How did you personally deal with your failed startups? And if you can give us a very short description of one of them to have an idea of what have you done. How did you deal with the failing experience? And what do you advise fellow entrepreneurs to expect when it comes to failure?
Yeah, so before Zoomaal, I was working on a startup called Reflex for around 2 years. I was struggling with it. It was a one-man show. I was only working on it on my own. And I didn't get any investors on board because of problems in the product or problems in the pitch to them. It's several factors. But what's most important is that after these 2 years, I gave up. I didn't give up. I gave up this idea to start something else. And giving up usually ideas for entrepreneurs, you're gonna think this is my baby. I don't wanna stop it and start something new. For me, I wasn't the idea. The idea itself isn't. I'm not very attached to the ideas as much as I'm attached to the dream and to where I wanna be. So I set a goal in my head. I wanna be, after 3 years, I wanna make my first $1 million, and I'm gonna try my best to just reach that. So I don't care if it's Reflex, if it's Zoomaal, if it's whatever it is. I just have to reach this goal. I'm definitely not like the kind of also materialistic person looking for the $1 million, but I do set goals that are beyond just the startup itself, because you never know. Startups, 90% of startups fail, and you have to take that into consideration.
So there's a famous saying or a tip that says fail fast and fail cheap.
Fail cheap, fail cheap, fail fast, fail often.
So Munir, how can someone fail fast? How do you know that you're failed? You have to start over, start something new. What are the signals?
So a lot of people, when they have startup ideas, you can have a lot of ideas, but a lot of them actually are not very good. You might think you have something that's amazing, and with this idea, you're going to make your first million, you're going to get 10 million users, etc. So you have to think of how you can start up this idea, build a prototype. Oftentimes we call it the MVP, the minimum viable product, to get it into the hands of actual users, not your friends, not your classmates, but into some actual users, and get some feedback, test it. Now, oftentimes people think, look, I have this brilliant idea, all I need is $150,000, and in a year, we're going to get bought, we're going to get acquired, we're going to, make tons of money or whatever. But if you can think of some way, you think you need $150,000, how can you test your idea for $500? And then once you get some feedback, you get some verification, you get some validity about it, then you grow to the next step. So how can you think of the simplest, the fastest, the cheapest way to actually test your idea before you invest a lot of your time and energy and investing money, etc., into building something which is unproven? And this is one of the ideas we talk about, the lean startup. All of these ideas are very much related here, but how quick and cheap can you test it?
I want to give a small example for this minimal viable product. So just 2 days ago, one of my friends, I was with him on the motorcycle, and there was كان في حاجز على الطريق, and we had to, both of us, have the caps on our head to like pass through this, but I had to go down the motorcycle and then walk. So the problem was he couldn't have two caps inside the motorcycle because it's not big enough. And he came up with a very small idea. A cap for the head could be minimized to become like half a cap, and another cap could be also half a cap, so it like twists on its own, and then you can fit two of them in the same motorcycle. And then he wanted to test if there's really a market to this. So instead of going to his friend and tell them, okay, I have this idea, do you like it or you don't like it, because that doesn't really work, what he did is he went to his friends that have motorcycles, and he told them, there's a guy I just bought 2 days ago from a guy بالضاحي عنده هدول new caps that can be twisted. Do you want to buy them? Do you want me to go and get you some? It's only like $25. And he got like 4 people out of 16 who actually wanted him to go to Al-Dahi and get him this product. So this is a real example of how he could validate there's a market need for it, because these people wanted to actually pay. They didn't just say, okay, I like it, and then when it's in the market, they won't pay for it.
True. So it's really important to make sure that people are interested in what you're building. And yeah, failing late is really expensive. Failing late is really expensive, both in terms of time and sometimes in terms of money, because we get too passionate about our products that we put so much money into them, knowing sometimes entrepreneurs know that it's a failing, and you have the guts feeling that it's not working, but you're too passionate to let it go. Plus you're wasting time. That time you could have used to start something new or test something new. So Munir, what got you back to Lebanon? So everyone here probably dreams of doing something outside Lebanon, maybe in Silicon Valley where you came from. You kind of did the opposite. What inspired you to do that? And do you think that people should stay here, or is there any other measure that people should use to decide where they want to do their work?
That's a good question. Well, I came back here in 2004. I went to high school here for a couple years, and then I went back to California to finish school and go to university. And then I worked for about a year and a half at some of the places that people get really excited about. I studied at Berkeley. I worked at Stanford. I worked half-time at Google for 5 months or so. And I just realized it's a really big world out there. I decided to quit all my work and move back to Lebanon in 2004. And a big part of the idea, I studied political science and international economics and worked in tech and startups when I was growing up. And a big part of my passion was thinking of how we can work to bring some of that energy, that vibrancy, that excitement, that innovation, that creativity that exists in Silicon Valley and places like Silicon Valley, and really work to ramp that up in places that don't have it, that need it more. So because I am Lebanese as well, I decided to come back and start this work here in Lebanon. I think, the first couple years I was here, I used to be really harsh on people whenever they said they wanted to move abroad. Whenever a young person said, what do you want to do? I love asking this question of what's your dream job? And a lot of people would respond that their dream job is any job as long as it's not in Lebanon. And I always found that really depressing. And I would give people a lot of shit for that. And first of all, I think people need to find their passion, and their passion cannot be doing anything as long as it's not in Lebanon. People need to find something that really excites them and interests them, etc. As of a couple years ago, I stopped harassing people when they said that they wanted to go travel or work outside to pursue their dreams or education or work or whatever. I encourage people, it is a big world out there, just like I left and traveled. It's great, it's a great experience. I encourage people, whether it's Europe or the Gulf or it's India or it's South Africa or it's the Silicon Valley, however you can, push your limits and learn something new, get exposed to a different environment. I was just chatting with someone yesterday who was explaining to me how she went and spent a couple years in New York, and New York kicked her butt. It was so tough, it was so competitive, it was so challenging, but it was one of the best things ever. So going and having those experiences abroad is great. I hope that a lot of people decide that they also want to come back to Lebanon and have that be part of their dreams as well, and build startups, be part of great enterprises, etc., that are based in here and that can grow from here and expand abroad. There's great potential for that. I think there's a lot of good energy here. There's a lot of good supports. The ecosystem for entrepreneurship is growing here, so I think it's really exciting. Every time I see a franchise here from abroad, and it's, they're all run by Lebanese people who buy the franchise or have a contract for the franchise. Every time I see that, I'm happy that they're making money and that they're, here and building businesses, but I kind of cringe a little bit. But every time I see a Lebanese franchise abroad, I have that sense of pride. So I hope that that's more the direction that you guys will think, however you want to build the next couple years, get that experience, learn, get challenged, find your passion, whatever it takes, here or abroad, but then think of what can be done to grow something amazing and beautiful and scale from here and conquer the region, conquer the world.
So one of our panelists who was supposed to be here, Khalil Fawaz, had to leave for a travel commitment. But what's interesting about Khalil's story is that he worked a lot in the corporate world before he started his startup. Abdallah, you never considered that. You just wanted to be an entrepreneur from the very beginning. How do you look at that? Do you see that you have value starting right off as an entrepreneur as compared to gaining experience in the corporate world?
Of course, I think the corporate world has a lot to contribute to your experience and the added value you can add later on to your startups. I think it's more of the opportunity cost. So when you see that you have this startup and working at this company, which one of them is going to contribute more to your future? So it happened to me, the case was that always the opportunity cost was tending more to the startup world and to the entrepreneurial experience instead of the corporate world. And maybe if I had a job offer from Google at some point, I would have went to Google because I want to learn more about how big corporations work, and that would add value later to my next big thing, startups. But I mean, it depends on what kind of opportunities you get.
Do you think should young graduates look for a job, or should they go heads in and start a startup?
Look, really both of them could work. I think his point about opportunity cost is a really good one. I think the most important thing is pursue excellence. Don't do crap. If you're going to work on a startup, put your heart in it, learn about it, master it, become the expert in whatever that startup is working on. It might work, it might fail, but either way you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to go work in a corporate job, you're going to go find a job in a company, whatever, that's fine. Become a master in it, excel at it, pursue it, have that be your passion. You don't know how many people, I have one standard question. I used to work as a graphic designer as well. I have one standard question. Over the last couple of years, we used to run a youth newspaper called Hibr. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. We've done a lot of work with different designers, students, people who are going through a 4 or 5 year program in graphic design. And in their senior years, in their 4th year or 5th year, I've asked probably at this point 70 or 80 people, young people in Lebanon, this one question. can you please tell me the difference between a JPEG, a PNG, and a GIF file? Now, I don't care what they stand for. First of all, you should be able to tell me exactly what they stand for. You should be able to tell me, the Wikipedia definitions. You should be able to spout out exactly what these things are. But minimally, know the difference of when you would use them. Where would you use a GIF? What are the benefits of a PNG? Where would you apply and use a JPEG? You should know this stuff down precisely. And almost none of them could give any sort of basic answer for that. It's depressing. Hold on, it's not relevant right now. We can talk about it. It's not relevant. The point is that, first of all, there's a big gap in terms of our education of what they're doing. If you're going through a 4-year graphic design program and you're not learning the basics of web design, there's a problem with the program. But even more so, if the program is not telling you these basic things, if this is your passion, you should be learning it on your own. If you have a passion, you're not waiting for someone to teach you something. You're teaching the teacher what your passion is. And so for every person, whatever it is, you're working on your startup, you're going to work in a company, pursue it, become a master of it, excel at it, and then you can build on that for whatever comes next.
So we're jumping into the education issue. I'm just going to give a small point. I always believe that education or learning is an inside-out process. Don't expect people or instructors to feed you everything. You need to be inquisitive and look for information. So who here has a startup or is planning to do something pretty soon? Not many. What about the rest of you? Shout out words of what do you want to do soon with your life. Jobs? Who here wants to get a job once they graduated? Drew, you have a question?
Yes. Who here is awake?
Who here is awake?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. About 30% are awake. That's good. All right.
It looks like you have something to say.
Actually, not a long time ago, a couple of Haigazian students and other university students started a small company called Class Entertainment. Okay, and our goal is to manage cultural events, and one of those events is going to be on 13th of December in AltCity.
Welcome.
Yeah, so I just want to tell you guys about it. It's going to be 80s night. Yeah.
Did you pay for this promotion?
No, actually, I just want to give you info.
See, that's a good entrepreneur. Good entrepreneurs always find opportunities to tell people about what they do. So I'm going to get back to some questions.
How many of you feel like you have a passion in your life? Like you're really excited about something? 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, that's good. What is your passion? To work in? To do what in them? These companies have like 30,000 employees. You could be a chef, or you could be a cleaner at Google, or you could be a software engineer. Okay, we need to work on that passion. Yeah, what's your passion? To excel at? Dancing. Dancing, awesome. She wants to excel at dancing, that's amazing. What else? Other passions? Come on, people. Don't make me start singing karaoke because then nobody will win. Yeah, Jihad. To love to build stuff. All right, he wants to build stuff. Come on, laughing in the back there, I see. What's your passion? Marketing, passion in marketing. Look, they can be standard ones or they can be really bizarre ones. Any of that, that's okay. And even, by the way, I particularly love it when people have a passion in something and then it pivots. So maybe she's a dancer now, she becomes the best dancer, and then in 5 years she decides, look, I really want to become a graphic designer. And then she can bring that passion, that energy from dancing into graphic design, and she's going to be the absolute best person in this entire world who's a dancer designer. So he wants to build stuff, and maybe in a couple years he decides, look, I really want to be a doctor. So then he's going to take that energy and he's going to be the best in the world of being a doctor builder, because who the heck is a doctor builder? So pursuing these things, it doesn't have to be your lifelong passion, it doesn't have to be something that you pick now and you never can change it, but whatever it is, become the master at it. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's not about what you do, it's about how you do what you do. So
This guy says it's not about what you do, it's about how you do what you do. Sorry, just
yeah, which is what you were basically saying. It's just important to have passion in something, and then you can take that passion and apply it to anything else in your life.
So let's take a couple of questions from the audience. Who has something to ask to one of those young gentlemen?
Sorry, I have an idea. Someone starting to be an entrepreneur, he should, like you said, he should base himself as an experience. You said that you should work on it. In my passion that I said I want to work in Google or Microsoft. Why you put the question mark on my passion?
If your passion will only be fulfilled if you work at two companies that are two of the most competitive companies and who don't have operations in Lebanon, I mean, working at Google or Microsoft should not be the end. I don't know how actually working at a particular company, because look, you're going to become the best person in the world who works at Google. What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. I worked at Google and I thought it was shit. I loved the experience, but my job was crap. So this is why, like, I looked at the next 10 years of my life and the trajectory of me working and building up of the next 5 or 10 years of working at Google to then eventually be able to do what I wanted to do. And I realized, like Abdallah said, is the opportunity cost was too high. I didn't want to spend 5 years working at Google doing crap to then be able to do something that I really loved just because it's Google.
What was your position in the Google?
I was a policy compliance analyst. So if you're looking at all of the sites, all of the websites that use Google products on their sites, and there's a list of the terms and conditions, they would send me lists of websites to go check, and then I'd go to the websites and make sure that they're following the rules of Google. Look, what I learned at Google when I worked there, by the way, how many people have a dream of working at Google? 3, 4? Okay, that's good. I'm glad that it's only you three. You three will talk after and we'll maybe work. No, I'm kidding. There's some great things about these companies. They're not bad, and there's some people who do really exciting stuff there. But what I realized when I worked there is that a lot of the stuff that I thought was the genius of Google, this amazing software, the brilliant people, the coders, the engineers, all of that, a large part of Google is stuff that is manual. It's done by people. It's a small army of people from the top universities in the US who are doing basically tasks that machines should do. So I had a whole bunch of friends from Berkeley, from Stanford, from Harvard who are working there doing stuff that no human should be doing, the stuff that should have been automated. And I was one of those people. I was one of those human machines, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do with my 20s. My 20s were way too valuable to waste doing that kind of stuff.
I want to add something, which is whenever you work with a company, you're working on the dream of this company, with the dream of this company. Life is too short to live someone else's dream, Steve Jobs. If you have to, whenever you want to work in a company like Google, unless you have the same dream as this company, then you should work with Google. If you think you have a different dream, you have to start your own company or find a startup that has the same dream as this. That's it.
Okay, my turn to speak.
Just one quick thing on that. I totally agree with Abdallah. There is also a challenge in Lebanon of too many people want to be the founder versus people who want to join a team. And so the idea, reiterating what you're saying, that if your passion aligns with the passion of the company, if you can fulfill your dreams working with some other people, that's fantastic. There's nothing shameful working in a startup but not being the founder or the two founders or whatever. We need way more people who can align their passions, get really excited about working with great, small, early stage startups and helping build them into great companies. If you're the 3rd or the 5th or the 10th or the 15th employee, all of those are incredibly valuable.
So, following on your comment, there's something that you need to keep in mind. There's a difference between your passion and your goals. Your passion could be building products, but your goal, or one of your goals, is working at Google. So don't mix those up and think about them. What are your passions? What are your things that you enjoy, you like to do, you want to be influential, or you like your name to be tied with? But then the goals are much more specific, and there are things that you can reach and then do something else over and over again. So I would see that as a goal, working at Google, not really as a passion or something that drives you. Any other questions from the audience?
Hi, I have a question for you actually. First you said that you had an idea, you tried to invest in it, and then you let it go after 2 years. On the other hand, there are people that tell you that when you have an idea, you have to be passionate about it. You have to fight for it. You said it's like your baby. And sometimes one idea, especially that you said you worked on it alone, sometimes an idea, if you show it to another person, if you twist it just a little bit, it could come up with a whole new purpose. So what's the fine line between letting go of an idea that you know for sure it won't be able to work, even if someone else invested in it, and to continue with the idea and believe that it would work eventually?
For 2 years, I worked on this idea, and just in the last months, I started having doubts whether this idea actually works, because I'm not getting investors, I'm not getting funders, and even the users, it's becoming hard to get people on board on the team. So I started setting new plans for the company. I said, okay, if there should be a problem with the product, it's very complicated, for example, so we need to make it simpler. So there was a whole new strategy, and then I thought, okay, this new strategy requires at least 1.5 years, and I have this other idea that requires 1 year. I did my opportunity cost. I found that I have to go with the other idea, because also I saw that with Reflex, I've been working on it 2 years. Investors, if I want to approach the same investors, it's going to be difficult because they already had gathered some first impressions on this product and on me, so I want to give them another impression. I want to come up with a new brand product with new energy, with new passion, and that's why I moved from my old startup. But it was very hard, I think, is giving away your baby. Like this is the most difficult part.
There are these two contradictions that we talk about in the startup world. Because you're right, at the same time, in the same sentence, on the same discussion, we'll say, fail fast, fail cheap, fail often. Test your idea. If it's not looking like it's going to be a huge growth idea, give it up quickly and move on to the next one. At the same time, we say, if this is your passion, pursue it. You're working on a startup, how much are you going to sacrifice? How far can you go to push to make this a success? Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. On the other side, fail fast, fail cheap, fail often. And it is a contradiction, and it's up to the entrepreneur and you, your team, co-founders, investor, whatever, to help figure out the strategic point of where you're going to apply each one.
What's the fine line that differentiates between failing fast and sticking with your idea, with your passion, improving it, keep on improving it till you actually succeed instead of failing fast? And the biggest, maybe the metric that you should rely on are the customers. If you see that customers are excited, if you see that if you got this customer but he doesn't want to buy your product, but if you do this new feature, they're going to buy it, so then you fix it. And then you keep on pivoting between different features, adding new features, removing features, till you get more and more customers, and that's how you feel good about your startup. Is it the startup that you want to work on, or you want to move to something else?
From my experience, failure does not necessarily mean giving up on your passion. Your passion should always be there. Failure means you're trying to change your strategies and modify your goals, but your passion could still be the same. I give that from a very personal experience with the Dream Matcher. I had this big dream of creating an online social network that helps people make their dreams come true. I could not get there for different reasons. But I still have the passion of helping people make their dreams come true. So instead of focusing on the social network, which did not work, I changed the whole idea and turned it into a real-life event. I'm still following my passion. I changed the strategy, I changed the goals, but my passion was still there. So do not really tie your passion to a product that you build. Yes.
Hi, I just want to disagree with your idea, Mr. Abdallah, right? You said that Steve Jobs believed that working in other organizations means following others' dreams or living others' dreams. I believe that living the experience with others, it would decrease the risk of failing. That is, when you work in an organization, you can live the failure and success.
If you have the same dream as theirs?
No, it doesn't depend, but all of us, we have the same dream, success.
Yes.
So when we learn from the failure of others, we can increase the chances of our success.
That's kind of a difficult question, because for startups and for companies, if there's a dream or there's a vision for the company, and all the people who are involved in this company, they all share the same vision, it's going to be absolutely successful because everyone is working their best. They all believe in the vision. They're going to all work from their heart and not just because they have a job from 9 to 5, whatever it is. So this is from the first part. The other part is it's like I'm not really sure how
Success is a big topic.
yeah.
How do you define success? Your success might be different than my success. His success might be different. From what I see to you, success is probably related to living a stable life. يعني ما بعرف يعني. So you talked about working يعني different people see success differently, and working with other people is okay as long as you truly believe in what they do and it truly fits what you want. So you might work as a teller in a bank for the rest of your life and grow a family. I'm talking, not you. I'm just saying. But you might work as an engineer at Google for the rest of your life, and that might be something that you believe in because you're a true evangelist of Google. Then you are making your dream come true. Exactly. Or you might be an engineer who's just working at Google because that's the job you got, and that's a whole different perspective towards how you look at your job.
What I was saying that most of us are students. We are undergraduates or graduates. We don't still have the experience. To reach the success or to achieve the goals that we are planning to have, we need someone to guide us. Since one has an organization, that means he passed the whole path of success.
True. So you're not talking about the lifelong track. You're basically
Yes.
saying there's nothing wrong with getting a job, getting experience,
Yes.
living the corporate world or whatever it is, and then
for a
probably
lifetime, I
doing
mean.
something.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
for a
we
short
just-
period of time until you are sure you can do something on
Exactly.
your own.
But look-
That's only logical. Yeah.
Also, you should be very careful about what you want to ask permission for or what you expect from other people. I started working when I was 15, but my first internship was at an organization that didn't actually have an internship program. They weren't looking for interns. I went there and found them and I told them, this is what I want to do. I have the next 6 months, I want to work with you guys. And they were like, give us a couple minutes. And they had to go and talk. They're like, okay, we'll start an internship program for you. And it was a great experience. So, I mean, don't wait for other people or other groups or whatever to give you the opportunity that you want to learn or do or explore or start doing what you think that you want to do.
But the gap that I had between Driflex and Zoomaal was around 2 months. So when I stopped Driflex, I wanted to start something new, and then I got an internship at Middle East Venture Partners, which is a VC fund, an institutional investor. And I took this internship because I saw that it aligned with my goals. I wanted to know how venture capital funds invest and when they invest and how they see startups and when they take the decision, okay, I like this, and this startup, I don't like it, I don't want to invest in it. So if you see that working at Google aligns with your goals and aligns with your success in the future, then definitely that's the way to go.
Okay, we're getting out of time. Anyone here, we're taking one more question. And I know there's a bunch of you who want. Who thinks he has the smartest question of all? Jihad, oh, you changed your mind? The smartest question of all. You? Okay, you'd better be really smart.
Better be a damn good question.
Pressure, okay. You guys were talking about how important it is to have passion in what you do. But I want to ask, that's a very broad concept. So if I'm asking you, do you have passion about what you do, what would you say, yes or no?
Of course.
So you would say that you're passionate about your startup company, which is Zoomaal.
Zoomaal. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you the story about my passion so that you see how related.
But one thing, would you say that what is passion if you can sort of define it from different angles? I mean, we think passion in terms of a strong emotion, but what is it really?
I think David explained it like it's something that you enjoy doing. So if you're working all your day, it's something that you're never bored from doing all the day.
Definitely, yeah, definitely more than enjoyment. It's something that you have a drive to do. You want to discover. You're doing your own research. Sometimes you can't sleep because you want to solve this problem, or you want to learn about something, or you want to make something, and you're not going to be happy until you make it. And by the way, the process of finding your passion, people aren't just born with it. It's something that oftentimes it takes time, exploration. You might do 10 different internships, you might do 10 part-time jobs or something before you find the thing that just grabs you. But some element of this, it's around curiosity. And this is, for a lot of our work, and one of the most difficult things that we think about trying to teach or help people develop, it's not coding, it's not design, it's curiosity. How to get people excited about learning something, solving something. And I don't know, I still don't know the answer for that, other than just make it a lot of fun. I think that, anyway, yeah.
So passion is broad. I don't think Abdallah's passion is Zoomaal. Abdallah's passion is helping entrepreneurs turn their dreams to reality. Whether he does it through Zoomaal, whether he does it through Startup Weekend, the passion is the big umbrella that guides your life, and it should not be the simple product that you're doing. And I know if Zoomaal stops working, Abdallah would do something else that helps entrepreneurs turn their dreams to reality. So I hope it's clear now, the passion and how it compares to
the same. AltCity is not, it's the near-term passion. It's not the long-term passion. If AltCity fails as well, there's more stuff that we can do to. The question is about the passion is in what you do or it's in yourself. I think definitely it's in yourself, and then you figure out a way to express that. So she's expressing it through dance. You're expressing it through something,
Okay, we're running out of time, but I think there's a very interesting point.
I like your curiosity, though, and your question about passion, because it's very difficult here in Lebanon. Going back, there are a lot of opportunities where I grew up. I was really spoiled. I totally admit, I was utterly spoiled where I grew up. There were lots of opportunities to try different things, summer jobs, working part-time after school, trying all these different things. In California, there are a lot of opportunities for that. Here, there are much fewer opportunities. You have to be much more active and really fight to be able to explore, try different things, to find your passion. But it's so incredibly valuable. And I realized maybe 10 years ago that I relate totally differently. I can relate more to this lady who has a passion around dance. I don't know anything about dance. But I can relate to her much easier than to someone else who doesn't have a passion. Because people who have a passion are different. They think different. They behave different.
Do we have 3 more minutes? Okay. I think this is something that benefits every one of you. That's why I'm just taking 3 more minutes. I want to talk about the opportunities available in Lebanon for entrepreneurs. Abdallah, I want you to tell me everything that is not related to money. How can entrepreneurs with ideas, what are things that you've used over the past 3 years to develop your skills, organizations that have helped you? And Munir, I want you to talk about where can Lebanese entrepreneurs get money from, and how can they think of financing their startup. Abdallah, what are some opportunities in Lebanon available that you used to grow your startup from advisors, from organizations that helped you reach where you are today?
I think right now in Lebanon there are incubators, there are maybe accelerators. I'm not sure.
Please.
I'm not sure if there's any accelerator yet. But one of the most important things every startup owner must have is a mentor, or someone that would always can guide them, can put them in touch with connections, with the network. This is very important in the beginning. And having a team, like if you are a startup owner, you have to go and attend every event, every networking event. That's your only way to get a team, to get to know investors, get to know mentors, to get to know people who you may be interested in to have in your startup.
Look, the question of where creativity comes from is a very difficult one. Going to these networking events, all of that is important, but I would say also there's some great galleries here. How many people have been to Beirut Art Center? There's some amazing stuff that happens there. There are new galleries opening all the time. How many, there's some great dance performances. I love going to dance, and sometimes I'm watching this stuff and thinking, oh wow, that's really interesting. I wonder how that could relate to this marketing campaign for this project, the startup that these folks are doing. You know, get exposed to crazy, wacky, fun, creative, colorful ideas, colorful people, etc. And just be observant. I think this is an interesting thing. You know, going around and seeing, you know, walking in here, look around. What is interesting here about the space? You go shopping. What's interesting about the display? Be critical around what you see and try to absorb from that. This shop is doing really well. What are they doing differently than that shop next door, which is not doing well?
Okay, now they want to know where to get money.
In terms of the money stuff, look, we can talk about money, but I think there's honestly way too much obsession around money. There's kafalat, there's MEVP, there's some angels. I would say talk to Badr. We are actually looking at starting a boot camp program next year, which is going to be, you know, really early stage for startups. I'll tell you though that when people come and talk to us about money, there's a couple of things that an investor will look at, and you have to make sure that you satisfy them. First off, is your idea something that is really compelling? It's going to stick to people. They're going to want to pursue your idea. You're going to be able to build a following because your idea is so damn cool. And then also, more importantly, what makes you the right person to implement that idea? Because I've had people come up to me and say, hey, Munir, look, I have 3 great ideas that I'm thinking of doing a startup. And there'll be 3 totally different ideas, and the person will have no experience in any of them. They just think they're good ideas to make money. And if someone comes to me with an idea that they think is just going to make money and they have no interest around it, really, that's not their passion, they're not the right person for that job. So you have to make sure that you're the right person. So build up your skills and your passion and energy, be able to persuade that. Otherwise, money is not an easy thing here. But again, going back to this idea, you think you need $150,000. How can you do your MVP, your early stage prototype of whatever it is for $500? And if you only need $500, maybe you need nothing. Maybe all you actually need to buy is you need a $8 or $12 domain name. And that's it. You can get free hosting, you can get a free landing page, work with a couple people. So maybe you only need $50 to try your idea. And heck, if you need $50 to try your idea and you can't come up with $50, come talk to us.
One thing to remember, the biggest ideas in the world were proved almost for free. Google Glass, the first prototype, probably cost like $5. And look where Google Glass is now. So don't let money or I need $200,000, $200,000 to get somewhere be a blinding spot in front of you. We're out of time. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's hear an applause for our panel. Enjoy your lunch.